What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Gen Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me as always is Mr. Brian Schultz. Brian, did you see that State Farm Batman commercial, yo?
So I've seen it more than once. The first time I saw it, I was like, it was in the middle. We were actually watching something where it kind of mood wise fit. It was like we were watching it, and I was like, what is going on here? And then I saw the bat signal, and I'm like, I got confused. I was like, wait, what? And then I realized I was totally
Commissioner Gordon
off.
was like, Batman?
It looks cinematic, right? And I was like, what is like? And then I realized it was an insurance ad with it to be continued. I was like, whoever came up with this is hopefully they got promoted because this was fantastic. What?
Brilliant. Brilliant. That person who did that realized any connection to Batman is memorable.
Yep.
So the fact that they use that and WB bleeding money, they say, yo, we need money. Who want, you know what I'm saying? Let's make a deal. They got Batman to be the guy to sell State Farm insurance. This is the fact that they just show his boots walking and they don't even show who it is because that's what everybody be talking about, who this Batman is. But it was just brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. I recorded it because listen. Yeah, I recorded it. I put it on my phone like, yo, this is, I haven't put it up yet. But yo, this was like, it instantly got whomever was watching this had the same reaction, Brian. Had the same reaction. And that's millions of people who are fans of Batman. And perhaps those who don't know, who are regular guys looking for insurance, now know who Batman possibly is. Pattinson.
Speaking of Batman.
Yes.
And by the way, we've talked about this a couple of times recently, but you brought this up. When you see a commercial like that, that's why Batman is Batman. Because you can't, that commercial with any other superhero isn't the same. There is no, as much as you might love Spider-Man or Superman or Wonder Woman or Iron Man, there's no version of that commercial with any of those heroes that has the same impact, haha, gotcha. Like, it just isn't. Like, it's just something about the aura of Batman. Everyone gets it. You don't have to explain anything. You just put the light in the sky. Everyone knows it. Like, that's the power of Batman. When we talk about Batman as the number one pick, like, this is why. Because this is the one character you can do this stuff with, and everyone gets what you're doing. So, just pointing that out. In a class by himself.
But Pattinson, worried that he might be aging out of Batman. I'm pretty sure he was just being funny because of the delays and, you know, he knows that we're supposed to be doing a trilogy. And if we're taking this long to do a second film, how long is it going to be for the third film? How old am I going to be? You know, it's like he wants to do other things, obviously. Pattinson is a actor who wants to do different stories and just explore. Mm-hmm. What do you think about his statement and where the state of Batman 2 is and Matt Reeves? Is Matt Reeves feeling the pressure of turning something in to get started on this? Because I think do we have a film date?
No, I mean, like, Pattinson had been told to clear his schedule for basically the winter, for December of this year. Yes. But we continue to hear that the finalized script has not been turned in because Peter Safran confirmed it wasn't turned in as of last week when they did their DCU update. So Pattinson's been asked about this as he's out there promoting Mickey 17. And he was asked about returning to the role. And he kind of was saying half tongue in cheek, but I'll get to why this wasn't a total joke, because he said in response to, will you be returning to the role soon? He said, quote, I effing hope so. I started out as young Batman and I'm going to be effing old Batman by the sequel, end quote. But the reason he's saying that, just so people have the context, if this shoots by the end of this year, he will be 39 in what is supposed to be a year 2 Batman, just for comparison, right? So he's playing a 25-year-old Bruce Wayne, basically, and he's 39. Christian Bale, when he shot Dark Knight Rises and they aged him up to be this older Bruce Wayne, was 37.
Wow.
That's what he's talking about. Just like, can I credibly, physically portray the Batman I'm supposed to be if I'm pushing 40 and the character's 25?
Yeah.
It's a fair question. I mean, he certainly looks young. I mean, he doesn't look 40, but like, yeah. You know, versus the first one he shot, when he shot it, right? When he shot it, he would have been like 30, 31. And he's playing like a 24-year-old, 20. So that's okay. That's not that much. But yeah, it's time is moving and it's moving against him. So that's why he's bringing it up.
I wonder if like, because I've had these conversations. Oh, I want to have it to you next week. And next week comes and it's still not ready because you're still stuck on whatever idea or how do you move forward or, you know, I imagine it is frustrating when you're expecting something because you want to get moving on it because this is an IP that brings in the money, which David Zaslav, I'm pretty sure that David Zaslav, where are we? Where are we? And Peter Safran got to go to Zaslav and tell him he ain't ready. And then he got to take it and listen to Zaslav going crazy on the other end. It's tough. It's tough.
Again, I don't think it's necessarily personal beef between Matt Reeves and James Gunn. I know people want to make it that, and I don't think it's that. I do think there's some creative beef, though. I really do. I think when you're trying to build a new Batman and a new Batman world alongside this Elseworlds thing, there's just these competing interests that start to naturally evolve. And if Reeves is like, I really want to take the story in this direction, and Gunn is like, yeah, but that involves a couple things that I really want to do. That's the kind of stuff that like doesn't break the projects, but it's like, if you're Matt Reeves, right? He's not some junior filmmaker, right? I mean, he's you know, when they say like, Zaslav, like, where are we at? I can just cut to like Matt Reeves sitting in his office like this. He's like, oh wait, you know, and because he's like, you need this, right? I'm the one with the $800 million movie in the pocket that everybody likes. I'm the one with the Penguin in the pocket that everybody likes. Where's your Batman at? You know, it's like there is a little bit of like, I hold the leverage and I'm going to wait because I want to get my way for this little thing that like to us would be like, why can't you find another way? And he's like, yeah, but I'm the particular creator. This is my thing. And like, you got to respect that on some level. And I think that's a little bit of where this is at right now. It's like there's the 5 or 10% of this that is competing that they're trying to sort out. I think Reeves is going to win. I got to be honest. I think he's going to win for that reason, that he's got the bankable stuff already on the board. Whereas at the end of the day, Zaslav's going to be like, you don't even have your Batman cast. You don't have it written. Like what, I mean, I get that you want to use this character, but like what ground are you standing on? Like we have this thing at the 5-yard line ready to go. We need money. Like this is the guy we need to placate.
Yeah. And announcing a Batman now would be foolish.
No.
Like an actor announcing Alan Ritchson as Batman would be foolish.
He's trying though, man. He becomes. I'm more a fan of his efforts every day.
He said, "I'll pay you.
I'll pay you. WB needs cash. I will give you cash if you give me the suit.
Y'all need money. I'll pay you." It's obvious to me. I've been calling for it for a long time already. Alan Ritchson needs to be Batman. Because he is comic book brought to life, man. That's just what it is, yo. You can say, some people out there, oh, he's too big. What? Have you looked at the comics lately? He's too big?
Yeah, I mean,
and if you look at the description of Batman and who he is and what he looks like, he is the epitome of man. Top physical condition. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the way Alan Ritchson has to train to be and diet to be Reacher, like, I think it's probably a 10 to 15 pound adjustment with the same muscle tone. It's not. Yeah, Batman is like, I understand people are like, well, Pattinson. I mean, that's the point. Pattinson is like
almost
a
Rocky IV type situation.
Yeah, like Pattinson's supposed to be thin, lithe, young, figuring it out. Like Alan Ritchson's version is supposed to be mature, maybe even a little past the prime of life, but still looks like he's in the prime of life, like fully developed, fully realized. that Batman has always been described as basically being the same size as Superman physically, just doesn't have the, the super strength. But like, yeah, 6'3", 6'4", 230, like 225, like that's about right. And Ritchson right now, I think, is 6'4", 250 to play Reacher. That's not that far off. That's not hard for him to do. I just love it because he's very self-aware, because he's very honest about saying, no, they haven't asked me to do it. And he's like, they keep saying it's going to be this other thing. He's like, but this won't die. And he's like, I love it. So I'm leaning into it. And that's why he comes up with like, I will pay them to do this, because he understands, as all actors do, that if you get that opportunity, as much as his life has already changed, yeah, you only get one chance to play Batman. And if this is it, you got to swing for it.
Yeah, man. I just don't see anybody else for that role, man. He is the comic book version of Batman that we want to see on live action. And we already get a glimpse of him. When I'm looking, let's be honest. When I'm watching Reacher,
yeah,
I'm seeing what this could look like. And it looks fantastic.
There are absolutely elements of that character that he could bring. I mean, first off, there's the detective aspect of Reacher, right? He's a step ahead in assessing the possibilities and the details, and that's very Batman-esque. I mean, he's not a martial artist, but physically there are aspects of the way they shoot and block the fighting that are Batman, like very quick, sudden, like attacks and sneak attacks, and like, yeah, like there's aspects of that would be translatable. So I agree with you. And then the personality. I mean, he kind of at points has a warmth, but then he has a wry humor, and then he's completely deadpan. Like, he does great work in that show. I mean, I think his acting is probably underrated in that show, and I continue to enjoy it. I mean, season 3 to me has just been thoroughly enjoyable. And speaking of Rocky 4, I cannot wait for those two to finally throw down, which it's building toward, because that guy is Olivier Richter's. My God, that guy is. I think in real life they said he's 7'2", 353 pounds.
He'll be dope if he was playing Orion from New Gods.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I could see that.
Yeah.
I was like, I keep looking at him, and I'm like, how did your agent miss the He-Man casting call?
I know, right?
Every other big dude got that movie. How did you not? Because you're pretty good in this series.
Yeah, he would have been dope as Beastman. But there's other. I don't know, Brian, if you've ever seen Blue Mountain State.
I have not. I know that was like one of his early successes.
Yes, he was the jock. To me, I saw a Bruce Wayne and how he could play that. He is perfect because he can bring you the seriousness of Batman, and he can transform. He would be what Christopher Reeves was to Clark Kent and Superman, and Alan Ritchson could be the Bruce Wayne to Batman. That's the parallel here that's the comparison I'm making here in terms of his ability to transform. And you can believe that this is Bruce Wayne and believe that this is Batman. I don't know what we're waiting for here. It would be a shame for him not to be cast as Batman. I don't care what anybody else has to say about him not being able to. Say whatever you want to say. I don't care. But that dude is Batman.
Well, again, Batman.
All these other guys that you're mentioning, Jason Eccles, whatever. Fine, yeah, whatever. I'll accept any Batman because I want to see Batman on screen. But this is the guy.
Yeah, again, Batman has the luxury of he's been written across all ages and phases of his life. So that gives you a lot of different ways you can go and be successful. But I think for the little bits that have been described for what seems like they want in their DCU Batman, which is sort of a little bit grizzled, mature, but not Dark Knight Returns age Bruce Wayne, Alan Ritchson seems like he's in the sweet spot. Sweet spot for age, sweet spot for appeal. Like his star is hot, but he's not, it's not like hiring Tom Cruise to be your lead, right? Like you don't have to pay that money or hand over that control. Like, and look, I mean, he's clearly signaling he'll play ball. Like he wants this part. He wants this to work. So it does check a lot of and we know he can do it physically, and we know he can do it from an acting perspective. So he meets the criteria. Like he meets the criteria. Is he the only person who could do it? No, he's not, especially if you chose a different point in Batman's life. But let's put it this
But
way.
we
I
already
think
know. We already know what point they want to. What point in Batman's life they want. We already know that, right?
That's what we're working off of a little bit, and kind of saying like, you know, not that fan casting should drive everything, but
yeah,
this is an announcement that I think will be met with overwhelming positivity. If you want to score a win with just the announcement, I think this is a good. There's always detractors, but I think this is a good way to do that.
What else?
Oh, I know you want to talk about Spider-Man a little bit, but we're in the tidbits category. I have to admit, that little like official first promotional image for He-Man, I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
with the shot of his chest with the sword, I was like, you guys are not treating this like a joke. That looks like the actual sword.
Listen, I'm not saying it's going to make Super Mario Brothers money. But what I'm saying is it's going to be a sleeper hit that potentially could make quite a bit of money on the duration that it's in the film, in the theaters. If it's in there for a while.
It is. You saw Amazon actually announce the other day they're actually beefing up their cinematic releases. They're putting more money and more movies into theaters. That's the plan over the next couple of years. That's why like they started acquiring the likes of Voltron and He-Man and stuff like that, because they want that to go to the theaters. So this is not something they're just going to throw away and throw up there. Like, it got a summer slot. Like, they believe, as improbable as it is, there's a world where this could be a real breath of fresh air, and people are like, holy crap, they actually made He-Man relatable, watchable, and fun.
Yeah. Because if you watch the original He-Man, you can't get any lower than that, man.
No.
You can't. You can't, yo. You put He-Man for anybody right now in a 20-seat conference room. Watch this. All you gotta do is leave the conference room and just count down to see how many people just walk out the room. Yeah. The fact that you're even you could say the same to Dolph Lundgren's He-Man. That's but this one right here, if you can get people interested in this, which you are and have been. You heard it here first, yo. Sleeper hit, He-Man.
Look at the shot, though, right? Like that's why. I'm not saying it's everything. The shot it's kind of gritty. It's dark. It just shows He-Man's chest, and it shows the sword. And you look at the sword, and you're like, you could have made that sword look silly. You could have made that sword look all sorts of different ways, and instead, you actually tried to take the cartoon design and make it look like a real sword. And that's like my one take from that. And I understand we've seen, I understand like how they're going to do the kind of Matrix style Earth linkage to Eternia, and he's in the pink shirt and I get it. There's some stuff that you gotta make us believe when we get there. But I'm shocked. Like I'm in a world where a He-Man movie is not being treated as a joke, and that's pretty cool. It's just pretty cool to see them try it. And by the way, Amazon tidbits. Word is they made the call to Nolan this week about Bond, and the talks have resumed.
As it should.
And they'd be willing to wait because he's obviously got the audit. So basically, this would be a 2029 target if you're dealing with Nolan. 2029 would be his next likely movie slot.
Listen, even though he's doing the Odyssey and his focus is 100% on the Odyssey when he's on set, but when he's sipping his coffee.
Tea. He's a tea guy. He keeps the teacup in his.
He's sipping his tea.
Yeah.
Taking a shower, taking a dump, whatever he's doing, that he's thinking about it. He's thinking about what this, because when Nolan shows interest in something, he usually, works on that.
He writes it and he directs. Right? He does the whole thing. He and his brother. Yeah.
He probably told his brother, make a note of this. They're talking about it. They cannot not be talking about this at certain points by themselves. It's just a no-brainer. But that's interesting. That's exciting, and we're certainly looking forward to see what else they have to I guess, release into the audience in terms of news and progress that this Bond film directed by Chris Nolan. We just looking for the name on the paper, confirmed, for everybody to go crazy and just look and just wait without it even being shot or written yet.
No, that's why I think if they do it, the smart way to play it is you announce Nolan is the director. You eventize the director announcement.
Yes.
And then because then immediately what you do is you're buying air cover for who you announce as Bond later.
Yes.
I don't care what
anybody says. That's always an event too.
No matter who you choose, if you can choose it and saying Christopher Nolan's the guy who greenlit it and is directing this, it will cover the backlash. If you just announce Bond on its own, there'll be people who love and people who hate. But like, if it's like, this is Christopher Nolan's guy, like fewer people are going to come for it. I think that's how they're going to do this. Nolan first, if they can get him, then they announce Bond second, and then you get the details. I
wouldn't even announce. I would wait for Bond. I would announce Nolan, then announce Moneypenny.
Oh, I see.
Felix,
interesting.
And I would wait for the last person to be announced as Bond. I would wait for that. Because that's an event right there. That's an event. But yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think of the possibility of this Ritchson possibly being Batman. What are your thoughts on that? Because there's people that say he can't play it because he's too big. Get out of here, right? I'm sorry. That just doesn't make sense to me, what you're saying. Without giving me real things to think about as to why he's not. Don't tell me that he's too big. Stop it. Because just stop it. Pattinson. Do you feel his frustration? We are already frustrated because we haven't seen Batman 2 yet. We already frustrated, period, because of that. And that they haven't filmed yet. There's nothing yet. So let us know what you guys think about that. And He-Man, He-Man is going to be that sleeper hit. And lastly, I just wanted to tell you guys what I thought about Spider-Man Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I saw it yesterday, the last 2 episodes. I had been watching it over some time, and I was always, I guess, in awe of the animation, how clean and how it looked. It was just like, it's hard to describe, but how it looked, how they made everything look, how they made the sounds of his webbing sound in those last 2 episodes. And I saw this with my son, and I guess having seen it with my son, I was seeing it through his eyes, and just really paying attention. And I was amazed that he knew all the voice actors pretty much for this show. And I was just paying attention to all the little details based on what I've known of Spider-Man in the past and the things that they changed, and the voice acting. Like, Scorpion was amazing. The fact that they made him look, he wasn't, Mayor Humdinger type character. He was menacing, and they made him look formidable. And I was also like, in terms of how they made Spider-Man look in terms of his abilities. Yes. It was easy for him to take down regular dudes, right? That's easy for him. It was just like nothing, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they gave us a suit, like, like they do in Dragon Ball Z, there's a level up that you got to reach or whatever. They did it with him, with Oscorp. And you said it, Brian. The change in mission, and Spider-Man's mission, with great power comes great responsibility. Everybody knows that, but he said respect. He gave us another R. And to see him having to level up to become a Spider-Man that is capable of dealing with something like this. There was a comic book. I think it featured the Sinister Six. And they were having a conversation about their interactions with Spider-Man. The way they spoke of him was as if they were dealing with a god. almost, in that they were in awe of his ability to overcome. And when he talks, there isn't a lot of the rest. There's just wisecracks and all this other stuff. But the way they spoke of him is like, we have to create this team, sort of, to defeat this guy, because we can't do it on our own. We haven't been able to. And they all think pretty highly of themselves. So I just found this show, and we spoke about it in the past, about what this show reminds us of. But I just fascinated in how they were able to make us care about Spider-Man again and his journey and the relationships that he has. The voice acting was absolutely fantastic. Coleman Domingo did a fantastic job with Norman Osborn. Everyone, I think, did a fantastic job as voice actor. Whoever's directing it, kudos to them. The music selection, everything. Again, I think this movie from this show was just perfect. Grade A. I give it like 5 stars.
Wow, you go 5. Okay, so I was at 4. I was curious. So you go higher. Interesting. But so, and when I gave my review, obviously Pablo hadn't finished it, so I held off on some of the details. But now we can talk a little bit about it. To me, the with great power comes great respect is the show in a nutshell. Because as I said, this is the what if that should have been. This is the what if Spider-Man was mentored by Norman Osborn instead of Uncle Ben. And it leads to the perversion of that line, but in a way that makes a ton of sense for Green Goblin, right? Power and respect go hand in hand, not power and responsibility. And trying to impart to a still very moral, very, good Peter that to beat these guys, you need to go to these other places you may not want to go to, but it will unlock your full ability as a hero. To me, like you can go for seasons on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because in some ways, it's sort of like taking Spider-Man closer to Punisher or Batman territory in terms of how you deal with the tougher foes. But like you, I thought the action was great. I thought the skills, the powers, like when he fights Charlie Cox's Daredevil on the rooftop, I was like, this is really cool. Like I want to see this in live action because they actually understand how these two how a more experienced Matt Murdock could actually outfox a more powerful, obviously a more gifted Peter Parker. Like this was a great scene. And then they contrast that with like how he fights Scorpion multiple times, right? He effectively loses. And even at the end, if he doesn't have Tombstone, it's not clear he would have won unless he did the thing that Norman Osborn wanted him to do. He had him beaten, and then he wouldn't cross that line, and it almost costs him. So, and then, of course, we get the sort of the grander set piece with Strange and the multiverse stuff. So I love the action in this show. I thought they really hit on some very Spider-Man-y type of stuff that I thought was cool to see and found new ways to like into the storyline, like the whole circularity of how he's created. I just thought I was like, I don't know if that's a brilliant, but I was like, it's interesting, it's different.
Yeah,
like,
it's interesting. I was like, what happened here?
Yeah, like he created himself inadvertently. Like I was like, that's kind of a very Terminator-ish like idea that I just want to see going. I just want to see what's next now. I just want to see where we go. So no, they did renew it for season 2. So good news is we're going to get a season 2, and yeah, like I said, my kid it was interesting. We got the demographics. So my kid's 10. She really liked it. She really embraced it. I know your son's a little bit older. Sounds like he really liked it. And then you got the adults are kind of like, this is better than we thought it was going to be. Like, so there you go. Marvel, at least in animation, still able to put out some stuff that appeals across demographics. So yeah, I mean, job well done.
Yeah, Marvel Animation is still doing a good job outside of the what if situation. Those people need to,
which is done. I mean, we're just scared because, as we said, like they're taking over X-Men 97, but we'll see. It makes me. Let's put it this way. It also makes me a little more intrigued for stuff like Eyes of Wakanda, right? Because you're like, this department is finding, and like I said, this show looks so different than X-Men 97 and What If, and it's still really good. And we know Coogler's got his version of animation that he wants to do with Eyes of Wakanda. It just makes me interested. I'm like, all right, you guys are doing good stuff. And like, I want to see what other directions you've got, in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Really liked Spider-Man, Friendly Neighborhood. I can't wait for second season and see where they go with that, and to see more of the performances. I just thought this was like visually breathtaking in terms of how fresh it looks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's what and I love the world. I love the world.
It's so like, unique.
Yeah. Iron Man pops in. Doctor Strange pops in. Like they brought that element of X-Men 97 that I think worked really well. This like, trust us as fans to get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you guys thought of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Then we'll see you next time on the Nerd Gen Report.